I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
Me. Bam, bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
What are we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.
What's up, boys? I'm feeling like March. It's smelling like March. It's feeling like March. My emotions are really feeling like March. There's been buzzer beater galores. I think we had 2 buzzer beaters today. We had like 3 yesterday. Tournament tickets have been punched already for some lower conferences. Gonzaga, of course, ran through their conference, punched their ticket. But March is here, man. March is here, and I'm ready to pod again. I'm ready for some madness on the podcast, some March madness on this podcast.
I know.
So Ben, last podcast you talked about Texas. Do you still feel the same way about Texas after today's performance?
Texas basketball?
Yes.
What did I say last time?
You felt strong about them in the tournament.
I still feel strong about them in the tournament because they play defense
in general.
And after being embarrassed the way they were today, they better come out and win their first round matchup. They are going to be on upset alert, though. They are going to be on upset alert.
Shout out to the We Talking About Sports WhatsApp chat. We were talking about it earlier. Yeah. Dude, Texas isn't, to me, they're done. They don't have that power.
They've lost the allure, right?
To pull in the top recruits from Texas. I mean, prime example is UTSA. You know, Wally and Marky's alumni, and Roland, Mr. Roland24 on Twitter's alumni. I mean, you guys are pulling fucking top star athletes from Texas and getting nationally ranked to where it's Texas UT isn't a funnel anymore for all these big names, man. Texas State just beat them in baseball, and Texas Longhorns are number 1. I think Justin or one of the guys was talking about that in the chat. So that allure, like you said, is gone. I know these guys get scholarships, but shit, I think the last 5 years tuition has gone up at the University of Texas like crazy, bro. I have some friends that are alumni, and that's what they talk about, how it's stupid expensive to go to school there.
Hey, they're hiring all these big name coaches, buying out other coaches' contracts. That shit costs money.
You know the crazier thing is, it's not like they're lagging or slacking in the recruiting. If you look at football or basketball, they're in the top 5 in recruiting. The problem is, what do they do with their talent? They're not getting any better out of high school. Development's there, not there.
That's a very good point. This is Chris Beard's first year. He got a lot of transfers. The talent is there. It's just that he's not, man, he can't, he's not
offensive enough.
He's like the Tom Thibodeau of college basketball, bro. Remember Thibs' problem for the longest time was he couldn't coach offense worth the fuck.
And that's because they have some talented offensive players, Texas.
Andrew Jones has been there for a decade, bro. Yeah, Andrew Jones.
He still got game. And they got some other guys who got some game, but they just can't seem, like you said, to put together a good scheme, because sometimes in the half court, that basketball that they play is not pretty. It's not easy on the eyes.
Sweet 16 bound, though, baby. Sweet 16 in my bracket.
We'll see, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get closer to March. As Ben said, there's been a bunch of games on today. Conference tournaments are really kicking off, and like we said, as soon as we get to the tourney, we'll be talking a little bit more about it, and we'll probably be doing a little bit of a bracket challenge. Are you guys going to be up for that this year? We should do something like that, right?
Yeah, and shout out to the fucking UTRGV basketball squad, too, now that we're talking about it. So.
Yeah, we had a bracket challenge last year through ESPN. We'll run the same. I don't remember the winner off the top of my head, but we'll look through it and we'll find out.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's get through the game plan here that we have up on the screen. We're coming at you guys with 4 quarters. I'm not listed on here. We're going to have a little bit of an overtime discussion because there's been some news that broke, and it wouldn't be we talking about sports if we didn't talk about it. So we're going to get to that when we get there. But without further ado, so the 4 quarters that we have up here, we're going to talk a little bit about Calvin Ridley. I'm sure everybody's heard about that in the news by now. We're going to dissect it a little bit, give our opinion on it. Russell Wilson, big name, big mover. Seems like everybody was waiting for Aaron Rodgers to get signed or to make his decision with Green Bay, and then the dominoes start falling a little bit. And Russell Wilson was the first big name to get traded. He finds himself in Denver. Third quarter, we're going to talk a little bit about UFC 272. Ben and Justin, they gave their predictions on their tap hour. And we're going to talk a little bit about what happened there. And then in the fourth quarter, the last time that we talked about NBA, we gave a little bit of, I guess, some bold predictions, if you will, for the rest of the season. We're going to talk a little bit about that because NBA came back and it's still going. And there's a game going on right now between the Nets and the 76ers as we're potting right now. I think Ben Simmons is on the bench for that game. But without further ado, are you guys ready to get into this?
Yeah, we're going to have to add a little more into that Russell Wilson. You know, we've had a little bit of more action, so we'll talk about some football stuff in that segment for sure.
Yeah, I know Ben's got a relative who might still be crying right now.
The NFL is the gift that keeps on giving. Whether it's trades or, off the field, as you know, it seems to be a big story that breaks every off season. And here we are. We got a pretty big story here. Calvin Ridley from the Atlanta Falcons, as you guys know, he left the team during the season to work on his mental health and get things right in the head. Got to give him his props for doing that. But while he was gone, he decided to log on a little app over here while he was in Miami, I think, and he placed a couple of wagers, some parlays. He's suspended for a minimum of 1 year for gambling on games while away from the team. Fair or foul? What do you guys think about this, Ben?
I think that these are the worst odds that anybody's ever gambled on. He was getting paid $11 million a year. Now he's getting paid $0 next year. He was already – listen, I already didn't like this guy because I drafted him in 2 fantasy leagues very high, with Justin Jefferson expectations, and then he pulled what he pulled – whatever, I had moved on. And now this comes out that he was just, did he really have mental issues or was he just fucking around and wanted to get away from the team? This just puts all that into question because how could you say, I was away from the team because I needed, to get my mental health back, but you're here gambling on your team, the Pete Rose of the NFL.
So you think it's that bad?
It's bad, bro. I don't want to go out. I don't want to go out and say that he's not gonna.
Let me phrase.
Does he get cut? Does he get cut by the Falcons?
Yeah,
I think he either gets cut or he gets traded. But what I wanted to ask you is it bad, in terms of it just being a bonehead decision to you? Because it's pretty black and white. Everybody's been saying when you do your rookie integration and it's just black and white. Therefore, you do not gamble. Are you saying it's stupid from that perspective, or are you talking about integrity of the game type of stuff?
No, I'm not talking about integrity of the game. I'm talking about him and the excuse that he was using. The kind of, I don't know. Now I want to put him more in the Ben Simmons, bracket. Not necessarily. Before we all thought yo, man, prayers to this dude. Hope he gets better. But fam, you're away from the team and you're gambling on sports and. Not only that, making parlays and you're putting the Falcons in them, bro, all you can do is question the guy and question whether he was just pulling a Ben Simmons and didn't want to be with that team. Hey, Julio deuced out. It looks like a rebuild. I want to get the hell out of here, so I'm gonna try and do whatever I can. That's what that has me thinking. I no longer feel sorry for the guy because, was he going that crazy that he just started gambling on fucking games? Come on, bro.
And he didn't seem to show any remorse. Ron, what were you about to say?
Well, on Twitter he put learn from my L's or learn from taking these L's, and everybody was like, well, L's from the parlay or L's like a life lesson. But no, man, this is the perfect saying for fucking Calvin Ridley's dumbass right now is, how you gonna get suspended on your day off? That was what we should be saying right there. Yeah. This guy, the timeline is he asked for leave from the team due to mental health issues in October. In November, he was already betting. This is bad. I'll keep it at 2 points right here. This is bad for 2 reasons. One, this is bad for the sports betting collaboration with the NFL. As you know, Caesars.
They're the ones that turned him in, cuz.
Caesars, DraftKings, this is the one thing that nobody wanted to happen so soon. If this happened 5 years, 10 years after the collaboration, that's fine. But you just started seeing these promotions with the NFL recently, and now you have a player who's already fucking around with it. A second thing is this is even worse for his career, because just like Ben said earlier, he didn't produce, which is why I think, like to Roland's point, he does get cut or he does get traded. So you have a guy who's not producing on the field. He asked for time of leave, and then he's already getting in trouble with the NFL. You don't want to be on the Shield's radar. So those are the two main reasons why this is terrible for him as a player and for us gambling fans as well who like to watch the game. Because if we want the NFL to keep, to keep going with all these promotions and all these great collaborations, which are, it's not even legal in some states, we can't have shit like this happen.
So it turns out that it was actually, where he placed the wagers of $1,500 worth that turned him into the NFL. Vetted it and turned it into the NFL. The question I ask you all is, does stuff like this stop, states that haven't legalized it yet from legalizing it? Like, are these red flags that come up in those meetings, or it's not that deep?
No, I don't think it's that deep. I think this is just an NFL incident. This is an isolated NFL, and I don't think it has anything to do with what a state's going to decide with their politics, in my opinion. I don't think the integrity of the game was at risk here with the stuff that he was doing. I saw a Twitter video of him on a breakaway catch, decide to try and run around the defender, and people were saying that he was in with the mob or he was down with the mob.
That compilation came quick, bro.
And people were quick with it on Twitter. But Justin, what are your thoughts on this, man? Do you think the penalty is too harsh, or do you think the NFL's right in sending a message just to, hey, don't fuck around. We're not playing games here?
I think it's a fair penalty. I think it is foul. You ask fair or foul. It's fair penalty, foul on his part, foul for his pockets. This man, a year removed from mental health, probably comes back, has a decent enough year. He's going to get a bag. And receiver bags are pretty hefty nowadays. So you're talking about a $1,500 bet. You probably left 60, 70 million on the table.
Potentially.
I don't think that's worth it. That's foul on yourself, bro. And I don't see another team picking up a guy like this. I mean, you already have a mental health problem, and now an extra suspension. That's 2 years removed from the league. Speed does go after a while, and that's what Calvin really had there. And the rebuild process that they're having, I think he's going to get moved if a team does want to take a chance on him.
Hey,
what do you guys? Let me ask this though. What do you guys?
If it was $1,500 on a parlay, what if it fucking paid out $1 million?
He was making 11. But
let me play devil's advocate here, though. Let me play devil's advocate for a moment. What do you guys say to the people? Like in the Brian Flores lawsuit, he's claiming that the owner was offering him $150,000 extra to lose so they can tank and get the player that they wanted. That's why there's a lawsuit, cuz. I know, but that's proven to be true. That owner, I mean, he arguably needs to lose his team. We're talking about the integrity of the game and the message that they're sending.
That's definitely more towards the integrity of the game.
And then the second one that I want to bring up, and I don't want to get too much into it, but I've seen it. What do you say? This is a year's suspension. What do you say to the people that are saying, well, the NFL only suspends guys 6 games for domestic violence incidents, and they're back on the field in some of these instances? To me, when I look at all of that stuff, I do think it's a little bit of a harsh penalty. I think it's sending a message. He's a high-profile player.
It's the first guy too, Roland.
And he's one of the first guys to have this happen to him. So
gotta set an example. That's just, that saying ain't there for no reason.
But I will say, I think he's gonna play. Go ahead, Ben.
These Alabama wide receivers, man. Maybe we gotta question Nick Saban and the way he's building up these young men's characters. We've had Alabama receivers in the news for a bunch of bad reasons once they get to the league. So
my question though is, with the NFLPA, are they going to accept this ruling? They got to shorten his sentence down, don't you think?
No, I think they're going to.
I haven't heard anything on that.
Yeah,
it's the first of its kind.
I saw the Pat McAfee show earlier, and he was saying that ever since he came into the league, which we know was a long time ago, whether if you're a rookie, a veteran, whatever, we would have seminars. We would have signs on the wall that said pretty much, don't be a fucking idiot. Don't be a Pete Rose. So it's not anything, new. And I think that him being the first one, like Ben said, they're going to set an example. They have to start somewhere. Same thing with the domestic violence. I mean, we haven't heard of too many domestic violence cases, in a while. So,
but remember, Ray Rice wasn't just 6 games. He got like a season.
2 games.
Initially. It was 2 games after watching the video. And then everybody had the backlash.
It wasn't until we watched the video that the thing changed.
Kareem Hunt got, I don't know how
6
long
games
also.
for kicking.
I just want to ask before I forget, how do you think that it all came out? How do you some people were saying like he hit the parlay and the bookie couldn't pay him, so the bookie was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna
I read something that he triggered the system with something that he did. He tried placing he was out of state or something, and it triggered because he wasn't in the proper jurisdiction to make the bet. I think it was something along those lines, triggered the system. It linked back to his email address, and then at that point, like Ben was saying earlier, the website that he was using or the casino that it was linked to alerted the NFL that Calvin Ridley was gambling. Yeah.
This takes me back to just having a good group of people around you. And it's kind of funny to say, but like in the show Ballers, Ricky Jarrett has his homeboy who just smokes a lot of weed, and but that guy's there so Ricky Jarrett won't fuck up. That guy's there so Ricky Jarrett won't do stupid shit like this. Borrow somebody's email, bro. Create a fucking ghost account.
Not only that, give them, just tell them what to do and give them the money. Like it's not hard. It's just bonehead, bro. Bonehead.
Shut up and dribble, right?
Yeah. In boxing, you can bet on yourself.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think Floyd Mayweather's put the bag on himself before. I'm pretty sure.
Well, because if you bet against yourself, there's going to be some red flags.
Exactly. So put the bag on yourself. Exactly.
And they're sure that he bet on the Falcons because some of them were
saying,
they were included.
He bet on them to win, never to lose. So
they were also saying that's why there couldn't be insider information because who the fuck's going to be betting on the Falcons? You know what I mean? Like they were trash. I mean, this was donating. He was donating.
And they were playing Jacksonville that weekend, I think. And
he bet at the Hard Rock Sportsbook.
Yeah, this guy could have inside information. Like, he's got homies on the team. They could have texted him and said, hey, bro, just so you know, so-and-so's banged up. They ain't going to get a lot of run today. Take Jacksonville or take us or whatever the fuck.
Absolutely.
Well, does anybody
That's why it's fair punishment.
Have anything on this before we move on?
Just that he's a dumbass and he might fuck it up for everybody.
From one person that's going to be off the field to another person that will be playing next year, that's none other than Mr. Russell Wilson, Mr. Seattle himself. Finally, after all of the drama that unfolded in the media, starting last offseason, where he was welcoming trades and he threw out that list of teams that he would be welcome to, that he would welcome a trade to and waive his no trade clause for. And then played the season, didn't go too well, battled through some injuries on his throwing hand. Season wasn't too good for the Seahawks, missed the playoffs. Finds himself traded to the Broncos. We have it up here. Grade the trade. What do you guys give the Seahawks? What do you guys give the Broncos? Do you think the Broncos got their guy and we can put them in playoff contention or Super Bowl contention rather? Because that's why they made this move. Justin, what do you think? What's your grade for these trades?
Well, for the Seahawks, I mean, everything's pending on what they do with those draft picks in the first round. As it stands right now, I'll give them a D for what they've done. What they've done since releasing Bobby Wagner, and just it looks like it's a rebuild for the GM at this point.
But I like where Justin's going. Don't stop him.
Look at the trade in a box. So
he's looking at the bigger picture.
They got a bag, but what is the bag? Because it could be bad picks, and then it's a really bad trade. It could get even worse. So that D is TBD.
Justin, let me tell you something.
The grade is D, and it's TBD because it could get worse. D is the ceiling.
Justin, don't ever let Roland keep you in a box.
And then
you get out of that.
No, I'm not.
For the Broncos, what's your grade?
For the Broncos, it's a B plus. They do receive Russ, and it's exactly what they need. They got a pretty good roster, but the problem is we don't know exactly what Russ is anymore because last year he was kind of checked out, kind of came back early from the injury. He is athletically declining.
He was cooking.
So I cannot say it's an A for them either. It's the guy they need, the piece they need. Elway's finally got his guy, but I'm only going to label it a B+. I won't go to the A status because if they got the same Russ that they saw last year, that's not A+ Russ.
No,
that's not let Russ cook.
Preach,
not good
my
enough.
boy. Preach. This guy needs to be on ESPN talking this shit. I don't even want to say anything. I just want to say ditto. That's all I want to say because damn it, Justin. You killed it, cuz. You killed it.
What are you thinking,
for
Ron?
The Broncos, man? I mean, for the Broncos, this is finally what they've been wanting, right? That was always a knock on them. They've gone through 10 quarterbacks since Peyton Manning left, rode off into the sunset. Guys like Trevor Siemian, Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy Two Gloves, Ben's guy. You know, he's a restricted free agent. So, I mean, if you're gonna pay him to stay on the squad, you might as well go get Russ. But
and he said that he wanted he wanted Aaron Rodgers money, and that's why the Seahawks were like, we're out on this guy.
Yeah, I mean, only Aaron Rodgers can get Aaron Rodgers money. You go and lose into the 49ers, and you still get fucking paid. But I don't know how that happens, but regardless,
one Super Bowl and you're still getting paid ridiculously.
Yeah, dude, just because you have
can't even make it to the game anymore.
Hey, but there's always that chance. Green
Bay just wants to be regular season, goats. That's all they care about. They don't care about playoffs.
First round bye.
Yeah, but as far as the Broncos, man, as everybody knows, they have that really young, talented receiver core. Judy was a little banged up last year. That rookie running back came out of nowhere. He's a solid piece. Yeah. So I mean, the pieces are there. You insert that veteran quarterback. I mean, I see why they did it. Do they get more wins this year than last year? You can say yes. Do they have better chance to make the playoffs this year? Yes.
They're in the loaded AFC West.
Yeah, I mean, so they are in the loaded AFC West, but they could still get there, as a wild card. So for the Broncos, you have to give them no less than a B on the trade. For the Seahawks, man, they're done. I mean,
Texas.
They're in the gutter. They're in the gutter.
They were done after they didn't, hand off that ball to Marshawn in the Super Bowl. After that play, they were fucking done, bro. And we
big facts.
Yeah, they've been done ever since that point. You're right.
Yeah, the defense isn't there anymore. Metcalf is great, but now he doesn't have a quarterback to throw to him. Lockett's just a deep threat. It's a running back carousel back there. So the Seahawks are going nowhere fast, and Russ got what he wanted at the end of the day. He wanted to get out of there last year. He couldn't do it. Now he's with the Broncos. It's what he wants. He goes from the NFC to the AFC in a stacked division, but regardless of it, it's new life. It's new breath for Russ. And as a quarterback at the latter part of his career, this is where you want to go. You want to go to a team that has potential, and it's a perfect fit for him.
And I like that a lot, Ben. Ron, I like that a lot. That's a good take. Ben, I have to ask you, I want to lead you into your take. Where do you rank Russell Wilson in the AFC West? Is he your second best quarterback in the AFC West? Is he your third best quarterback in the AFC West?
And Leo's watching, so be careful.
I'm still going to put him ahead of Herbert.
Okay.
I'm still going to put him ahead of Herbert. It was fucking beautiful, bro. It was beautiful seeing him get traded. Jose, Elias, Leo, Isidro, Izzy. Their days were just fucking ruined, bro. You know what I mean?
It's Ben's new birthday.
Football's not going to be
fun. It was fucking amazing, bro. March 8th. Fucking amazing. And then Bobby Wagner gets released after. It's a full rebuild. They're the Texans of the NFC now. The crazy thing is how they say the third time's a charm. This next year, Mondo might come on here talking his shit and might how they say a broken clock is right twice a day or once a day. For Mondo, it's once a day, but Mondo might finally not sound like a maniac when he gives his Broncos prediction next year. Definitely gives the Broncos life. He got traded to the Seahawks. We saw some other moves today. He's getting welcomed there by, Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack from the Chargers, going up against Patrick Mahomes. And then, the Raiders, I think that there was –
They're there.
I think that there was better options for Russell Wilson. He did use his no trade clause with the Washington Commanders, who we saw were desperate as fuck going and getting Carson Wentz. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. If Russell Wilson would have gone to the Commanders, bro, they're probably favorites to win the division, if not even with the Cowboys.
You're tripping.
And even if he goes to the Eagles, the same thing. Why you decide to go to that division? Supposedly he wanted to stay closer to the West Coast. But, I mean, the opportunity, yeah, he exercises no trade clause for the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles is what came out after he got traded. So
I like the weapons with Denver better than Philadelphia.
Well, I mean, the thing about the Eagles is clear. I mean, you're going to have this whole quarterback controversy with fucking Jalen Hurts.
There ain't going to be no controversy.
Russ would be the guy. Jalen probably would have been in the trade for that, but for me, So what were your official grades, Ben? What were your official grades for each team?
I think I'll agree as a B for the Broncos because I still think that they might be the third best team in that division, overall. But, and for the Seahawks, I mean, let's see what the hell they draft. But, they also did this because they traded 2 of their first-round picks for Adams, their safety who plays linebacker and blitzes. So they had to recoup. They didn't have a first-round draft pick this year. Now they do because of this trade. Let's see what they do with it. But honestly, I mean, this isn't the draft for quarterbacks either.
No.
So
exactly. And next year, your ceiling is Bryce Young.
But they did get Drew Lock.
That high.
They did get Drew Lock in the trade.
That was my question. That was my question for Justin. Where do the Seahawks go now, Justin, quarterback-wise?
Next year, not the year after next, Bryce Young is probably the best available quarterback coming out.
I think they should probably draft Malik Willis to give it a go in the first round with one of their first 2 draft picks. And
they only have one, I believe, Roland. Like I said, because of that Adams trade.
They got
but they're not for the same year.
So you guys think that they just try to ride Drew Lock till they can land somebody else? You don't think they try
to go might be a bridge.
Mitch Trubisky?
Nah.
Supposedly the Giants are after him.
He just benefit of there's nobody to draft this year, and he stood next to Josh Allen and he looked okay in a Bills uniform. But for me, I give the Broncos an A-. The only reason why I don't give them an A+ is because Russell Wilson's not Aaron Rodgers. If they would have gone and got an Aaron Rodgers, that's an A+. And I give him an A- because I'm still kind of high on Russell Wilson. I think his injury and him not wanting to be there this past year really played into his performance towards the end of the year. And I got to give the Broncos extra credit for just having self-awareness because they suck at drafting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Just look at who they've drafted. They're like, you know what? We're not even going to try and draft anybody. Let's not even play this game. Let's just go and get someone who's established.
John Elway does not know how to scout talent. Let's make that clear, at least quarterbacks, because it has not worked out from Brock Osweiler up until now. Just go and trade for your guy.
And he gave up that position, right, as far as the scouting talents? Didn't he reassign that spot to someone else?
Somebody else.
It must have been his son, because it was just stupid.
They're pulling a fucking a Rams and just said, you know what, we're just gonna go get
we're just gonna go get our guy.
Another player who was involved in the trade, who was kind of a low key star for them, kind of had a high ceiling, was a Noah Fant. Since you threw out his name, was that not a major loss, but is that a key piece that the Broncos are losing as far as a weapon for Russ to throw to, or can they go get another tight end, or do they have somebody on the roster already?
Well, I think there's like 5 or 6 tight ends coming out of this draft that could be at the level of Noah Fant. So giving him up wasn't so hard for the Broncos, knowing what's coming out of this draft. Unfortunately for the Seahawks, you're getting a pretty nice piece in him, but you're getting Drew Lock to throw to him. So that's the bad part.
Can't be too high on Drew Lock. It's just the draft class is not that good.
Let me spin it for y'all. Let me spin it. Like, let's say I'm Leo's brain took over my body. So now they add Noah Fant, who is probably their biggest hole on offense besides the O-line. They always
missed a tight end, yeah.
Yeah, so now they got Metcalf, they got Lockett, they got Noah Fant, they got Carson for 3 games that he's healthy. And they trade some draft picks and go and get Deshaun Watson.
I would do it. I mean, I think that's an
Is
option.
is that a quick fix? Is that a quick fix?
I think that's a quick
Avoid the
fix.
rebuild?
If they don't want to go through the rebuild, I say
Watson,
go.
who's already paid, wouldn't be getting Rodgers' money. He would be getting 150 is what he signed for.
And that's why you got to give the Seahawks a TBD here. I can't really give them a grade. I don't want to give them a D. I'm not as negative on the trade as Justin is. I think they got what they could for him. I think they got more than what Detroit or whoever traded Matthew Stafford. They got more than what Detroit got for their quarterback, and it's still yet to be determined here what they do with those draft picks. And it's one of those things that Russell Wilson didn't want to be there anymore, and sometimes you just got to part ways. Let's see what they do with let's see what you do with the draft picks though. So I'll give them just to give them a grade, like maybe a B minus, C plus probably for me on the Seahawks, just because the situation sucked all around. So, yeah.
And they left the door open, like I said, for an opportunity where they could. Russell Wilson was getting paid big money. Trading for Deshaun Watson and taking on his contract would be the exact same thing as having Russell Wilson. So it could be a quick fix. Next year they do it. Carson Wentz, guys. Carson Wentz is still getting traded for. He's still a hot commodity. It seems like the Washington Commanders didn't want him to hit free agency because the Colts had said they were going to cut him if nobody traded for him. I guess they didn't want Carson Wentz having his pick of the litter and maybe passing them over, so they went ahead and traded 2 second-round picks, I believe it was, for Carson Wentz. What do y'all think? That's as desperate move as you can do for Washington, and he's back in that division that he was familiar with. What do y'all think for Washington? Does it make them better?
It sucks for Washington because when you look at the odds, they really didn't move for the Super Bowl contenders.
Didn't it remain the same?
They stayed the same at plus 5,000 before.
I mean, they didn't get worse, at least.
It didn't get worse. I think Carson Wentz, when you look at his measurables, what he does in the league, he threw 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. It's just that those interceptions come in the worst moments of games, and he has some of the biggest brain farts that you can have that, you really got to question if this guy's mental is there to be an all-star or a Pro Bowl quarterback or the guy that you want in your franchise. The Redskins, they obviously missed out on some other guys. Like Ben was saying, Russ waived his no trade clause, didn't end up going to the Commanders, and they talked about trying to trade for Patrick Mahomes. I don't know how serious that was with the Chiefs, but they end up with Carson Wentz. I got to give props to the Eagles because they got a lot more, I think, for Carson Wentz out of the Colts when they traded him last offseason. Yeah, so for his trade value to tank that much and to only be able to recoup that if you're the Colts. And the interesting thing for me is the Colts. What do they do from here? Like, that's the $1 million question for me. Is because what's the guarantee or what is the percentage chance that they get a better quarterback than Carson Wentz to be there?
Word on the street is Garoppolo is their target.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's the
Carson
word.
Wentz or Garoppolo?
Jimmy G.
Hey, I'll say fucking kill me, bro. Shoot me. I'm not picking.
Don't put me in that position.
Hey, bet yes interception and fucking shoot me, bro.
I was all out on Carson Wentz. Like I've never liked him. He played for the Eagles. I was never for Carson Wentz, but I knew I was all out on him when he blew my bet against the Titans this past year when they had no business of losing that game, and he had to have thrown it. So I don't know.
That interception in the end zone, you just replay that in your head, and you're like, how did he manage to throw that interception? But this is a bad trade for the Commanders. They're just getting marginally better, and they're having to pay a way bigger salary, a way bigger contract. True. 27-7, sure, that's all nice, but in the games that counted, especially that last season game, all they got to do is beat Jacksonville, and they're in the playoffs. What does Carson go do? He drops to the Jaguars, bro. This guy's not worth the money. I'm sorry, it's not worth it in that trade. The Commanders have messed up here.
The Commanders chose Wentz over Garoppolo because they could have had their pick of the litter. 2 second-rounders would get you Garoppolo. They wanted Wentz over Garoppolo.
I mean, some other names that you look at, though, is free agent quarterbacks around the league. I mean, you're talking guys like Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Mitchell Trubisky. Do you put Carson Wentz above all those three? I think
I would go Trubisky over Wentz, bro. I'm telling y'all, Mitch Trubisky is going to have a comeback season.
He just might.
He's not going to be under Matt Nagy and the Bears anymore.
And you don't got to pay him Carson Wentz money.
Exactly. There was better options, bro. The fucking Steelers better go get Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah,
bro.
and now the Commanders have gotten rid of Lance Collins today because they can't afford him anymore because they're paying Wentz.
Yeah, $22 million, Justin. You're gonna go pay Wentz $22 million, and you're gonna trade 2 second-round picks for that?
Nah.
That no wonder you're changing your name every other fucking year, bro. Come on, get out of here.
They did, but it goes to show that they are dumbasses because that Dwayne Haskins quarterback fucking deal did not work out either. They're taking selfies with the fans, and the games ain't even over. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's get to the UFC main event. Enough of that football.
Third quarter's coming up, baby.
Third quarter UFC 272 recap. Unanimous decision for Colby Covington, 49-46, 50-44, 50-45. Ben, this was a dominant performance. You're talking about just getting mauled for 25 minutes on this. And in the stand-up, somehow Colby ended up beating Masvidal in the stand-up as well. So I ask you, what's next for Colby? What's next for Jorge?
I don't think that he beat him in the stand-up.
He did. He outstruck him.
Masvidal dropped him, though.
No drops. If you look right here, knockdowns, 0.
I'm not listening to the nerd who took those stats, bro. I saw what I saw, bro. Ron, were we not at the top of the Paris Hotel in Vegas with an iPhone at the center of our table with the stream that somebody sent us? You know, I'm not going to incriminate anybody, but our waiter was even into this. He's like, oh man, I really wanted to watch this fight tonight. And he'd come and just peek over our shoulders.
Yeah, but we told him we told him the only way you could watch this fucking fight here in the middle of the table is if you keep bringing us glasses of champagne, my boy. So you
take a seat.
But yeah, we didn't really watch the fight. We were drunk as fuck too. But yeah, we were drunk, but we could clearly tell that Kobe dominated the fight. It wasn't a surprise. The only fighter this guy's lost to is arguably the best pound for pound fighter right now. George is 37. George is 37 years old, guys. We can't forget that. George. I mean, he was fighting in the back streets of Miami-Dade County with Kimbo Slice. This guy hit his ceiling.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, Kimbo. Moment of silence. This guy hit his peak already. He's done. He'll be a gatekeeper or maybe do a couple more bad motherfucker belt fights. There you go. But Kobe's a real deal. Yeah, BMF. Kobe's a real deal, man. Everybody was saying that they knew he was going to win, but George is clearly the fan favorite. I did like how Kobe is. He's either going to go two ways. He's going to go money fights or he's going to just stay beating the top-ranked guys. He's got to go to the money fight. He called out Poirier. That's just my take on it. You guys are a little bit more the experts here, but I don't think it was much of a surprise. George got a little lucky in the fourth, but other than that, I mean, we saw George not do well in his previous, fights either. He had the big, knee with Askren, but after that, even the Diaz fight, he didn't.
It only got stopped because of the cut in New York.
Yeah.
If that's anywhere else, that fight doesn't get stopped.
If not, he would have lost. Diaz would have come back for sure. But I agree with Ron. What's next for Masvidal is those BMF fights. Maybe he gets a fight against Conor, when Conor comes back. Or maybe he fights the second fight against Diaz, maybe against Nick. But definitely he's not fighting top-ranked guys anymore. And for Colby, I think that's why he called out Poirier because he knows
I like the Poirier.
Yeah, it won't happen.
Poirier call out.
It won't happen. It won't happen, but it's a good use of your mic time.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's good.
It's not like he's never been bad on the mic. He's usually pretty witty. He can come up
and
with
there's history there too.
Yeah, it was tacky the way he brought in the kids and the wife and all that. But I think he did that because he knows that he doesn't have that trilogy as fast as he wants it with Kamaru Usman. He's lost twice to Usman in the last 2 years. I don't think that he thinks that they give him that trilogy fight, off of this win. So there definitely is other things on his horizon besides Usman. I think he definitely fights somebody else before Usman. I'd love to see him fight the winner of Hazmat and Gilbert Burns. Would love that, but I think that they're gonna if Cumshot beats Gilbert Burns, they're probably gonna give him a title shot.
But I think that would get Colby.
And there's also Luke and Bilal to worry about too. That's gonna get a title shot too.
Like if Bilal beats Luke, Colby will 100% sign up to fight Bilal Muhammad in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, because it would be a win against another top 3 guy, and then boom, all right, title shot.
I have a question for you guys. Is Colby Covington versus Dustin Poirier maybe the biggest fight in MMA next? Because what kind of other fights have bad blood like that get you excited? Is that the next biggest fight that UFC can promote?
That's why I said I liked the call out, because there's substance behind it. They have history.
Yeah.
There's something that they can really build off.
You could promote
make
that,
all those
right?
promotions. Make all the interview videos talking about how they used to train together and all of this stuff.
But that just happened. It'd be kind of played out.
And they're at
I don't think so. I think there's a
good one. Yeah, and they're at the opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of.
They're different weight classes, though.
Yeah, I know.
What weight class would this happen at? What weight class?
170, because Dustin Poirier has teased going up already. He's been saying bulk in season.
And we've already seen the line too. Colby would be a huge favorite. I think rightfully so. You see him lined around, what was it? The
minus 400 opening line.
Yeah, minus 400 opening line on that.
I don't think so, bro. Like, how are you gonna diss Poirier like that? I've been a Poirier hater, but hey, Poirier's got some fucking power.
He's not but he's not a 170er, because he's a 155er.
I think it gets worse. In fact, I think he'll ragdoll Poirier even worse than he did Masvidal. Masvidal's a bigger man.
Or I could potentially see see a fight with Cosmod if he beats Burns. I think if they don't give Cosmod
I would love that.
The championship fight, I think Colby and Cosmod would be a good fight, because Colby's already said or made some comments about him that I think they could build off of too.
Oh, he would kill him in press conferences, and then we'd all just be waiting to see what happens when they lock the cage. I think that would be the next biggest fight.
To y'all's point, like, I think Colby is chasing fights where he's the 1A. He's the A side of the card. Masvidal got paid more in this fight than Colby did because he got pay-per-view points. Colby doesn't want to be the B side anymore. He wants to be the A side. So all these fights are good for the true UFC fans. But how you guys said, or Ben said, somebody said it at the very beginning, what gets him paid? What's the next big super fight? I think Justin said. And
with Poirier, that's the super fight.
And to get the casual fan to get the pay-per-view buys.
Yep.
I think that's kind of where the UFC's headed now, man. To guys like you three up here, you guys want to see number one versus number two, and all these technical fights and the styles and all this stuff. But has in a bigger picture, has the UFC changed from that? Because I mean, now it's kind of just who has mic skills, and it's like a WWE kind of vibe.
Well, here's the thing with the UFC right now, Ron, and you're bringing up a good point, but right now they're champions. If you look at the champions of each division, they're not necessarily the stars of that division. You go to lightweight, you probably think, Chucky Olives is not the star of the division. He's just the champion. People still want to see Conor. You go to welterweight, Usman's the champion, but people talk about George Masvidal because of that flash in the pan. So these fights are definitely bigger than the ones and twos, and especially for the casual fan.
And it's matchmaking at the end of the day. You got to put together two guys that are going to make a good show and put on a good show for the fans at the end of the day. Yes, there's ones and twos are going to have to happen, but at the end, it's matchmaking to me. And that's why the other guy I didn't get to talk about, but I want to say Masvidal, I think the one that makes the most sense for him is Conor. I think it's a similar fight. I said in one of our group chats, it's a similar fight for Conor as the Cowboy fight. You get a guy who's been getting beat up a little bit, a guy who's beatable, a nice little comeback fight for you. And I think,
and a guy who's willing to stand with you and not just take you down and wear you out.
Because Masvidal doesn't want to go down. Masvidal doesn't want to get on the ground. So I think that's a logical fight. It would do numbers in terms of pay-per-view. You compare that with Colby and Dustin.
But if you're Conor, you're like, fuck, it's gonna be my first fight back. If this guy randomly catches me and I get dropped again, damn, where the fuck do I go from here? So I mean, we think like, skill wise, Conor, and that's the thing about George is his skill set isn't there. Like he was getting outboxed, I feel like, by Colby Covington. Colby landed more strikes. More jabs, better to the body. So it'd be a scary fight. Yeah, it'd be a scary fight for Conor to come back, but it would be exciting to see in the pay-per-view fights.
Justin, you talked about it a little bit. You mentioned the word trilogy. Is that something you would look into again as a fan? Is that something you would buy into again? The trilogy with Usman at one point, if Colby did his thing and maybe defended the gate one more time.
Yeah, I think so. Usman, he was up front, in the fight. They asked him about the thing, and he said, what he did tonight, he earned a third shot. And Colby all week was talking about, I still got unfinished business with him, because if you ask the internet, I took rounds from this man. They say I took 3 rounds from this last fight, which I think he really did. But at the same time, I'm like, you just didn't do enough to take the title from the man. But you did take rounds off this guy. And he's one of the only guys who have done that. I mean, Burns, you can say did the first round, but then he gets not stopped in the second round. So he's not at the equal that Covington is to Usman. So if you want to talk about equals, Covington's the closest you can get as far as equal to Usman.
Yeah, and taking rounds, like you said, it was like this recent fight, the Whitaker versus the Stylebender fight. A lot of people thought,
exactly like that.
A lot of people thought, hey, Whitaker probably took at least 3 rounds. He should have won the fight, but he just didn't do enough to beat the champion.
I think it's exactly that. Yeah. He took 3 rounds, but just not enough damage.
Yeah, man. And so Kobe does have a point for the trilogy. And if Usman is being honest with himself, I mean, who the fuck else is Usman going to fight? He's going to roll through everybody else.
Yeah. Kobe did talk about this week possible moving up to 185 to get Adesanya, but Dana didn't really want him to move up. I think Dana would rather have him move down because Kobe doesn't cut much weight to get to 170. So in reality, he could be a 155er, and who knows what Kobe does in that division. But
would you like to see him against Islam? A guy who said that he would.
I would love to see that wrestling versus combat sambo. I would like to see that. I still think with the technique that Kobe has, I think he would beat Usman in the wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a pretty good third quarter there, boys. I like that third quarter.
All right, well, it's time to throw up the fours. We're going into the fourth quarter. That was a good one. UFC 272 was an exciting card. We didn't even talk about the other fights that went on. That's how impressive this Colby Covington performance was. Let's go on to the fourth quarter, though. Like we said in the breakdown, we gave some predictions at the All-Star break. We gave some predictions. There were some moves that were made. I think at the time that we did the podcast, the James Harden trade had just been made. He had just landed with the 76ers. Ben, Ron, and myself gave some bold predictions, as you guys see up here on the screen for those of you guys that are watching on YouTube or on Facebook. Ben, his bold prediction was he was saying the Lakers were going to miss the playoffs. Maybe that means they make the play-in, but they don't win the play-in, and they still miss the playoffs. Ron, his bold prediction was the Bulls were going to win the East once they got healthy, once they get back Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso. Caruso, I think, was just cleared to come back. So that's one guy that's coming back for the Bulls. And my bold prediction was I was buying in on this James Harden trade right away with the trade over to Philadelphia. And I said the 76ers were going to come out of the East. I'm going to kick things off. I like my prediction. I like the way the Knicks, the 76ers have looked in the couple of games since they've gotten James Harden. I think him and Embiid play well off of each other. I saw a lot of people saying when the trade happened,
don't say it. Don't say it.
Look at how James Harden played with Dwight Howard. Look at how he played when Dwight Howard was in Houston, a post that dominated the paint. He didn't play well. I think that comparison is like apples and oranges. You can't compare Dwight Howard to Joel Embiid. 2 different animals. Embiid is a lot more skilled than Dwight Howard was, and this pairing works for me. I like it. Justin, you didn't give a prediction, but I want your take on my bold prediction here. Do you like the 76ers coming out of the East? Are you strong on them, but maybe not as strong as I was with my take?
I'm stronger on the 76ers because of the trade, but I'm not strong enough to say that they come out of the East. I still think at the end of the day, it's going to go through Brooklyn.
No, you still got Brooklyn and Kyrie.
Yes, I still got Brooklyn.
Even though Kyrie cannot play in Brooklyn.
Yeah, because guess what? They're going to be playing their games away because they're going to come in as like a 7th, 6th seed. So the majority of their games are going to have Kyrie available.
So then when it's a 5 or 7 game series, what are they going to do in Brooklyn? He's not going to play half the games.
We'll see what happens if the governor decides to, or actually it's like a city restriction. See if they uplift that and change that, because we are seeing COVID protocols changing daily.
True. And Ron, I want to ask you, what do you think about my take? And I'll let you lead into yours and give your little recap on your Bulls to come out of the East. Do you like the Sixers?
Dude, you fucking hit it right. I mean, you hit the nail right on the head with a hammer, man. I mean, the Sixers are 8-2 in their last 10. I thought you were gonna say when they talked about Harden, or when you were talking about Harden and Embiid comparison was Shaq and Kobe.
Oh no, I'm not ready to go there. I'm not.
Yeah,
They are a fun duo to watch, though. They really are, but not there yet.
Somebody made that comparison, and Shaq put it to bed real quick, which I think 99% of the other basketball fans did as well. But you were right on it. I mean, they're 40-24. They're 2.5 games back of the Heat, half game back of the Bucks, who have been playing lights out as well. 8-2 in their last 10. Mine was the Bulls. They're still right there. They're 3.5 games back. They're 40-26. So then you have the Celtics coming out of nowhere. They're 8-2 in their last 10 as well. But to touch on the Bulls, DeRozan, we were talking about how he was putting up, he was doing things that MJ had only done in Chicago, and he's continuing to do them. He dropped 34 last night. This guy's carrying the Bulls on his back. They still have young players like Kobe White, who are good pieces there. When they're fully healthy, be on the lookout for these guys. And it's just, the Heat, dude, they're still in first place. They got rolled on by the Chris Paul-less, Suns last night. So I think the Heat digress. They didn't. Jimmy Butler didn't play, but even then, I think the Heat digress out of these top 4 or 5 teams in the East. And dude, I've been watching the Bucks play, man. These guys, I don't know. They're still very, very scary. They put up a lot of points. Giannis is a fucking star.
They still got Giannis.
It's crazy, man. But
they still look like champs.
So Roland's prediction looks good. 76ers win the East. Mine is still there. Ben's is there as well. The Lakers are 9th currently in the West. They're 28-37, 24.5 games back of first place, and they're 2-8 in their last 10. So Ben, let us know. Me and Roland already covered ours.
Read the eulogy.
Yeah, we'll let you go, and then Justin can cap us off here.
Are you reading the eulogy right now?
Nah, I'm not gonna do all that. I don't want to pat myself on the back because I honestly don't think it was that hard to call, bro. I don't even want to say I look like a genius, but they were sitting in like the 8th seed, 7th seed. They did have AD back at the moment when we made these predictions, but we said it preseason. Like if this was 2011, 2012, all right, but fam, we're in 2022 and these guys just, they ain't gonna get it done. And I think that in a 1-game play-in, I think I got them losing to the Pelicans. I'll change my prediction to that. They won't even make the playoff play-in game. They'll lose to the Pels, who the winner of the 9 and 10 seed, the Lakers are currently the 9, the Pelicans are the 10. They play each other, and then they play the winner of the 8 and 7 seed. So I don't even think the Lakers get the opportunity to play the winner of the 8 and 7. I got them losing to the Pels. With a healthy Ingram and a healthy CJ McCollum, I think that the Pelicans can beat the Lakers on one given night. So it's honestly like we saw it, bro. It's just how optimistic you were going to be about it. I had a buddy who's a Lakers fan that said they should just shut LeBron down for the season. That's where he's at. You know what I mean? Like he's pretty much saying fuck the play-in also. But he's saying they should just shut LeBron down because this season's a wash.
Your squad, Ben.
Justin, you're the Lakers correspondent, Justin.
That's why they're saying it wrong because the Rockets just beat the Lakers last night.
I was gonna say the worst team in the league right here at 17. What's their record? 17-49, 2-8 in their last 10, and one of those fucking wins was against the Lakers.
Yeah. And the Lakers have lost to the Trailblazers too. This is a team that they lose to bad teams.
Now we lost to the Pelicans, who's going to be the playing game more than likely. So,
Justin, what's going on?
Put the bullet in.
Where's your mental at?
Right now.
The Banana Boat team, they're good when they're hanging out, but the chemistry's not there on the court. You can tell. I don't agree necessarily with shutting down LeBron. He's still putting up 30-point games. He's still playing fantastic ball. So don't shut him down. But
37 years old.
I thought by now, 3/4 of the season done, we would at least seen Trevor Ariza a little bit on the court. He's still DMP, so it's just not looking good for us. Last night we gave it our all, 4th quarter to tie it up. Didn't do enough to push to win the game. We have to go to overtime. And in overtime, it was it was the Josh Green show, and 7-0 run by him. He took over, and you could just see it with LeBron and Russ. They don't have the tank anymore for that overtime play. They just didn't. And it was, Houston took over, and
For us, it's completely
At that point,
broken.
I kind of just know, like, even
But
with
nobody else
AD,
can
I don't think we're winning that game either way. So it's not a good look.
Do you have a bold prediction yourself, Justin, or do you want to double down on anything that's up on the screen?
The only thing I don't like on the screen, and I don't want to double down because Ron's already conceded that the Bulls won't go through. It's going to be the 76ers. Although the 76ers are getting cooked by 20 points to Brooklyn.
Yeah, 21.
I'm not even watching the game. They're losing by 20
I just
points.
don't like the Bulls. I never did preseason. I've said they were too small at 3 and 4 to win in the playoffs. And I'm still going to contend with that they're too small at 3 and 4 to be a real contender in the East.
Yeah, and within a blink of an eye, the East turned into the conference to be. That's crazy.
Yeah, the Bulls do lack a little bit of that physicality, but yeah, to your point, 72-51 halftime score for Nets and the Sixers. Durant's leading with 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 dimes. Then you have Embiid on the other side with 21 points and 8 rebounds.
Shout out to Ben Simmons. He's got a kangaroo chess piece going on right now. It looks sick.
Nice.
We're never shouting out Ben Simmons ever again on this podcast.
That was our one and only. I used the one and only we had for him. After that, he gets no more shout out.
I wish you wouldn't have, but since it's you,
I had to burn it. I mean, at some point, we had to burn it.
Bro, where is Kyrie after that 50 piece? 6 for 10, 4 for. Oh, Kyrie had 16. So
he's been cooking.
He's getting his numbers. Yeah.
All right, let's get into this overtime.
All right, we talked about it. We teased it. It wasn't up on the screen, but we have overtime for you guys. Baseball is back. They've agreed.
Yes.
The MLBPA and the MLB have agreed to a preliminary deal. Things look like they're going to get back on track, and that was after word of they were getting ready to cancel more games. So I guess that got people motivated to get a deal done. You guys excited for this?
Oh, absolutely. And, just right on point, right on target. MLB's back. And what do you hear already? Yankees making a move for Freddie Freeman. The freaking vultures that the Yankees are.
Well, I'm sure they
don't sleep.
Too.
They were just waiting for it to come back, and they're on it.
Yeah, I wonder what Correa's going.
It don't matter, bro. Look at their roster. Look at everything the Yankees did last year.
No, I agree, Ron. I'm just saying it's their style. It's just what they do. This is the same old Yankees.
Every year you hear Murderers Row, Murderers Row, Murderers Row. And, dude, these guys are striking out left and right. I mean,
Gary.
They get their pay, and they're just chilling.
Coltrane is like, he's stuck on the track somewhere. Like, it's just typical Yankees, bro. They're done. They'll never have another dynasty year like they had. They're going to be sitting at 27 or 26 championships for a while.
It's good to hear that baseball's back, though. I thought we were going to have to go back to KBO.
Overnight baseball betting with BTB.
The Lions,
the Dragons or some shit.
Yeah, crazy teams, but I'm glad baseball's back. This does mean Carlos Correa will no longer be an Astro probably the next month. He'll find himself a new team.
The Tigers? Are we thinking the Tigers?
Yeah, where do y'all think Carlos Correa lands? I'll ask all
Detroit.
Let's make a little prediction, and we can go back and see where he ends up landing.
I'll go Detroit or New York.
New York, wow.
Detroit or New York.
Yeah, I go Detroit.
I'll go. Who's the Braves shortstop?
Oh, they have that stud, way. Fucking
I thought Acuna was second. He's second.
No, not Acuna. What's his name?
I think he'll end up with the Braves.
He goes.
No, they got Dansby Swanson. Is he still their shortstop?
All right, yeah. Well, he's gonna end up there.
That is Dansby.
All right. Well, yeah, I got Correa to the Braves.
Like a white guy with one black.
Well, I'm ready for some day baseball. That's all I got.
Yes, sir.
I'm ready for some day baseball. That's all I got to say.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for the first 5 unders and score firsts and all those fun baseball bets, man. That's what I'm.
No score first inning.
No score.
And with baseball being back, we're seeing a lot of networks fighting over programming. You got Apple TV for Friday nights. They're going to be putting on double headers on Friday nights. You got Peacock entering their,
and those games for
Apple
TV, they're going to be exclusive on Apple TV. You're not going to be able to watch them anywhere else, right? Like not on the MLB app if you have that. Or
you'll need the Apple TV subscription.
That's clutch for Apple TV, and they're getting into sports heavy. That's all I got to say. They're getting into sports heavy.
They're making a big deal for NFL Sunday Ticket.
Yeah,
they're making a push.
For NFL. Exactly.
Who's this?
Apple TV.
Apple.
It's their streaming service. They put on shows and movies, all Apple branded.
I got a boy,
Ted Lasso and all that.
I got a boy who gets us links. That's all good.
Yeah, we'll have links. You know how it goes.
Going back to the Korea situation, bro. Don't sleep on the Dodgers. They did get rid of.
He would never go to the Dodgers. He would never go to the Dodgers.
They did get rid of Seager. They did get rid of Seager, which was he signed a huge contract.
He's the Dodgers' daddy. He can't go play for them.
Never go play.
Trey Turner is there, but he's a free agent at the end of the season. So you add somebody else there. You add another bat. I mean, bro,
I would hate it, man. I don't want to even think about it, Ron.
And they have
that would make me turn on Correa like I turned on LeBron, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have root for Correa.
I would turn on him too.
If he goes to the Dodgers or the Yankees, I know what chamos. You're not even raza anymore, bro.
Yeah. The teams that have the.
I mean, I couldn't blame him for the Yankees, though. I mean, if the Yankees give him a big bag.
It's not the Yankees aren't as bad as if he goes to the Dodgers. They're not even pissed.
Yeah, the Dodgers, I would be mad.
I know Ron's hoping he's going to the Dodgers right now.
They're the Dodgers on the East Coast.
No, I don't. Shit. Hopefully, he doesn't come to the Dodgers because I don't want his cheating bitch ass with us. I hope he chases the money and chases the fame and the stardom and goes to the Yankees and he just like falls straight on his ass out there and they don't win. But if he's smart, he goes to the Tigers and he's the main guy there, puts his team on his back. And if he's smart, he goes to a team like the Cubs.
He stays with the Astros if he's
smart. Exactly.
He takes that hometown pay cut. Gotta take that hometown pay cut.
We don't have a good track record of paying people.
Correa's a sellout. He's over here that wanted to be this.
That's how we lost Carlos Beltran back in the day to the Mets.
He's got to be the Timmy D of baseball. He's got to just take that pay cut for
He's
the
a sellout,
squad.
bro. He's out here marrying.
Put on sometimes.
He's marrying out the race and stuff.
Well, we got baseball.
He's marrying outside the race.
No, he's
that was hardcore.
His chicks from Laredo and shit.
But he's Puerto Rican or whatever.
Her dad's a Seta and shit.
Let's not go there.
All right, Roland, I think we got a little something to plug right now.
Yeah, if you guys are listening to us right now, we got a little treat. We plugged it a little bit on Twitter and on social media throughout the week. We talking about sports. I'm not saying we're getting into like the interview space, but we do have a little bit of an interview. I guess that's what I want to say. We interviewed somebody. We always talk about the lines here. It's not a gambling podcast, but as you guys know, we had our super contest. We bet the NFL spreads each week, and we usually talk about that. So we interviewed somebody that's in that space. Ben, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, just it was a good interview into like, you know, somebody who's a professional bettor and does that for a living.
Yeah.
So it's look out for it. It's about 25 minutes long. And it's right before March Madness. There's some March Madness tips in there as well. If you're somebody who plays and is looking to, or even just filling out your bracket. I mean, he gave us some dark horses. He gave us some teams who he thinks are on upset alert. So it's an insightful interview, and I think it'll educate anybody who listens to it.
We're not a betting show because we're in Texas. So you know, we don't.
And we have a betting sponsor at one point, but we're not a betting show.
Yeah, we're not a betting show, guys. We bet for tokens, you know, and coins. But
it's all hypothetical. It's all hypothetical.
Betting for respect.
But if you don't watch any other show or of ours or whatever, if you don't fuck with us, just fuck with this one. Fuck with this next, you know, show that Justin and Roland and Ben, primarily Roland, who reached out, and this person that we're talking about, we're not gonna give it away, but shout out to him for taking the time to chill with four guys from the RGV, from the 956, who don't have a massive following the way that he does, and our credibility is no near this guy. So first and foremost, thank you to him. Roland does have, you know, somewhat of a relationship, you know, with him, and he even takes the time to talk to Roland, you know. So Roland, thank you for doing that, you know, for us, for the We Talking About Sports team. So
definitely,
if you like to bet, this is the one that you're going to want to watch. Hopefully we can run a promo for it. If we don't, we're telling you now, it will be soon. Is there a date, guys? Or is there a time, or are we just kind of like coming?
I think we're gonna stagger it with the release of this podcast. We might release it before or a little bit after this podcast.
A little twofer this week.
A little twofer.
2-piece.
Because like Ben said, there's a lot of March Madness tidbits in there. And this guy, like Ben said, he does it for a living. That he lives, breathes, and sleeps. He has clients that he works for and does this stuff for. So definitely more on the, I guess, sports investing side, because this guy he wins a lot. So I would definitely tune in to this interview. And thank you again for sitting down with us.
Yeah, you might want to cue this interview up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. He's fucking this guy's living my dream right now, like just to be a professional bettor, not fucking have a 9 to 5, go to Vegas when I want, like just dude.
Yeah,
awesome.
Work from home. Yeah. But yeah, do you guys got anything else to add? It's been a good podcast.
It has, man. It was good to be back with the boys. Like we were saying at the top of the show, it's been a while. Follow us. If you don't like to see our ugly faces, go to Apple Podcasts. You can just hear our stupid voices. But regardless of it, thank you for the follows. Thank you for the subscriptions. We love you guys. We appreciate all the love. And I love my boys, man.
It's March.
Yeah, it's March. The madness has begun. Tune into some of these games. Even if you're not a college basketball watcher, I guarantee you will be entertained. Villanova 63, St. John 62 with 2 minutes left. Like everything is competitive. Everything is a roller coaster. So yeah, man, I'm happy March is here. Before I used to look forward to March for spring breaks. Now it's for March Madness, man.
March Madness.
The palette is changing.
Yeah, plus it's been kind of cold to go to the beach with the 18-year-olds anyway, so. No, I mean,
all right.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day. Hypothetically speaking. All right, well.
At least you said 18, bro.
Yeah,
like shit.
All right, we'll end on that note, guys. Talk to you guys soon.
Good show, boys. Good show.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game.
Me. Bam, bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30. Ride
What
dirty.
are we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.